For 6 centuries, Earth had been silent. No message, no ship, no signal, just silence deep and endless, like a wound across the stars. The galaxy believed humanity was gone. Some thought they had destroyed themselves. Others said they ran, hiding in a corner of space, too broken to face what happened. But one thing was certain, no one had heard from Earth since the War of Chains. Until today. It started with a pulse, not a normal signal. This one didn't travel on known frequencies. It cut through dark matter, bypassed relays, and appeared in the heart of every major communication system. One word, one location, awakened, then coordinates, nothing more. At the Galactic Research Station, Dara Prime, alarms screamed. Scientists ran, machines crashed. The AI mainframe tried to track the source, but something blocked it. It wasn't interference, it was intelligence. Whatever sent the signal, it knew exactly what it was doing. Dr. Vila, a Zenthid scientist with gray scales and 7 eyes, stood frozen. That's near the old Terran boundary, he whispered. A young assistant blinked. Isn't that zone ... restricted? Yes, Vila replied, voice shaking, because nothing ever comes back from there. The research team contacted the Alorian Union's Exploration Command. Within hours, a stealth scout ship named Lightseeker was dispatched. Its mission was simple: investigate the signal, identify its origin, and return, but none of them would return. The Lightseeker reached the edge of Terran space in 2 days. The system was dead, cold stars, empty planets, no comms, no ships, no beacons, just a vast silence stretching like a graveyard. Pilot Naira, a soft-spoken Grelian with sharp hearing, slowed the engines. This place feels ... wrong. Stay sharp, said Commander Thalos, a war veteran from the Tharn Dominion. He didn't trust ghosts, but even he was uneasy. They followed the coordinates. It led them to a small station orbiting a cracked moon. The structure was black, no lights, no signal, no heat, just ... there. Like it had been waiting. The crew docked. 5 explorers stepped inside. The airlock opened without resistance. The interior was strangely clean, no dust, no decay. Lights flickered on, one by one, as if sensing their presence. It's reacting to us, whispered Dr. Venya, the team's Xenotech expert. Old Earth tech doesn't do this, unless it's been updated. They reached the central chamber. There, in the middle of the room, was a single chair, empty, facing a large screen. The screen turned on. A human face appeared. A woman, pale skin, dark eyes, no emotion. She didn't speak. Not yet. Instead, a voice echoed around them, deep, synthetic, emotionless. If you are seeing this, it means we are ready. It means the galaxy has forgotten the price of betrayal. It means the silence is over. The human woman on screen blinked once. Judgment begins. The lights turned red. A pulse shot from the screen, non-lethal but powerful. It scanned the crew. Each of them felt their bodies freeze for a moment. Then everything returned to normal. But the message was clear. Earth saw them, knew them, and let them live. For now, they tried to leave, but the airlock sealed. Backup lights failed. Life support shut off. One crew member, Yellow, screamed when he saw his reflection melt into static. Something's wrong, Naira whispered. We were scanned ... and copied. Der Venyaron Aske. Her voice trembled. This station is recording us. It's building profiles, psychological, biological, even memory traces. Like it's preparing something. What is it preparing? Commander Thalos asked. No one answered. The screen turned back on this time. The woman spoke. You wanted to forget us, but we never forgot you. We gave mercy, you gave knives. Now we give truth. Suddenly, hundreds of faces appeared. Humans, old soldiers, children, scientists, all staring, all silent. Then came the footage and shunt recordings of Earth's fleets saving alien worlds, ending plagues, fighting impossible battles for others. Then ... betrayal. Council signatures ordering secret strikes, footage of Earth's ships exploding, refugee colonies burned, final transmissions filled with screams. You lied, said the voice. The crew began to panic. They tried to break the door. Nothing worked. Commander Thalos shouted. This is a trap. No, Dr. Fenya sighed. This is a lesson. A final screen appeared. A single star map. Dozens of red dots, Stargate coordinates. One glowed bright dot. Was Dara Prim, the research station that found the signal. Then the voice spoke once more. You found the signal. Now, they will find you. Back on Dara Prime, chaos erupted. The station's systems shut down for 5 full minutes after the signal played. When they came back online, something had changed. A strange code had appeared in their archives. Encrypted, alive. The AI tried to delete it, failed. Then came the message. We were silent because we learned. We returned because we finished. The era of mercy is over. Then, one by one, long-dead Terran beacons across the galaxy began to blink online. In the outer rim, an old Terran satellite believed destroyed centuries ago powered up. It released a single ship, sleek, silent, black as the void. Inside, no crew, just a eye purpose-built, its course. The Elorian capital. In the Galactic Council chambers, an emergency session was held. This is impossible, said Chancellor Virel. Earth is gone. No, said an old ambassador, his skin pale with fear. They are not gone, they are watching, they always were. The council debated what to do, but it was already too late. The first station went dark, then the second, then 5 more in 1 hour. Ships scrambled, panic spread, but the human voice continued across every channel. We asked for peace, you answered with silence. Now we speak, and the galaxy will listen. Deep in an asteroid belt near the Terran border, a fleet began to move. No living crew, just machines, cold, perfect, and old. Very old. Each carried the Terran flag scarred and faded, and below it, one message etched in steel: no mercy. They thought it was a one-time event, a strange signal, a dead station, an empty warning. They were wrong. Across the stars, old ghosts were waking. General Karvak of the Varnak Empire stood in his war room, staring at the red lights blinking across the holographic map. Each dot marked her lost outpost stations that had suddenly gone silent, with no trace left behind. All of them were in regions once guarded by Earth. He clicked his claws against the edge of the table. This is not coincidence, he said. His advisor, a nervous young Varnak officer, stepped forward. General, it's happening fast. Every outpost near former Terran space is being erased. Not destroyed, erased. No debris, no distress call, just ... gone. Karvak's eyes narrowed. Have you contacted the council? They're panicking. But they say it can't be Earth. They say humans are extinct. Karvak growled. The council is made of fools. He remembered the day Earth fell, or at least, when everyone thought it did. Back then, the Varnak were afraid of humans. Not because they were stronger, but because they didn't fight like others. They didn't conquer for power. They fought for something harder to understand. Values. Mercy, honor, justice. That made them unpredictable, dangerous. So when the council proposed removing them, the Varnak agreed. Quietly, secretly, they helped block Earth's calls for aid. They delayed support when Terran colonies were under attack. They fed false information during the Krakos War. Earth lost, or at least, that's what everyone believed. But Karvak had always wondered. He'd always had nightmares. Now, those nightmares were returning. On a faraway world called Linarith 5, a small communication array flickered to life. A junior technician noticed the sudden activity. She leaned closer. This can't be right. The signal had no sender ID, but it contained Terran code. She tried to trace it. Failed. The screen showed an old video clip, grainy footage from over 600 years ago. It showed Varnak soldiers laughing as they turned away their ships during Earth's evacuation effort in the final days of the war. The last message Earth ever sent to them played after. We helped you rise, you helped us fall, may history remember. The technician's hands shook. Then the screen went black. Back on the Varnak homeworld, Karvak received a private message. It wasn't routed through any normal channel. It arrived directly into his command console. Impossible. He opened it. A video played. It was him, younger, standing beside other generals, signing the false treaty that led to Earth's isolation. Someone had been watching for centuries. Below the video was a single Terran phrase. You lied. We remember. Karvak stood, raised planetary shields. Now his guards obeyed immediately. But it was too late. Above the planet, a black object appeared in orbit. It had no engine signature, no communication, no crew. Just a long, sharp design. Silent, the defense grid scanned it. No weapons detected. It looked harmless. The Varnak commander ordered it destroyed. 6 missiles launched. They never reached the object. Instead, each missile turned mid-flight and targeted their own launchers. The object responded by emitting a low-frequency pulse. It echoed across the planet. And every major power system shut down. Gravity centers failed. Shields dropped. Communications died. Then the object spoke not in words, but through every device, every screen, every speaker. Varnak, first betrayers, first judged. It didn't fire, it didn't destroy. It simply left, leaving behind only darkness. Silence, and a message burned into every city tower. This is only the beginning. In the Galactic Council chambers, panic had fully taken over. Species argued. Accusations flew. Threats were shouted. Only one figure sat still. Ambassador Tyran of the Celery Order, one of the few species that hadn't betrayed Earth. He spoke quietly. You believed Earth would stay silent. You thought their mercy was weakness. Counselor Hesk, a cold-blooded being from the Marn Dominion, hissed. Then where have they been for 600 years? Tyran looked up, eyes calm. Learning, he said. Building, preparing, watching. And now they come not to ask, not to speak, but to show what mercy denied becomes. In a hidden archive buried deep in council records, a young archivist named Lever uncovered a file marked Project Vesper. It was locked with a Terran code. No one had been able to open it until now. When she cracked it, the screen filled with hundreds of hidden reports, secret missions, classified betrayals. One file stood out. Operation Final Silence. It was a plan created by council leaders to erase Earth's digital presence, to erase history itself, make them myth, the directive said, make them a warning story, not a people. Lever sat back in horror. She had never seen these files. She had never known what had been done. Then her screen froze. A single line appeared. You found the truth. Now choose, speak, or vanish. On her way to report what she'd seen, Lever vanished. No alarm, no body, just gone. But her personal device was found later. Inside was a message she tried to send. Earth is not what we remember. They are not angry, they are changed. They don't want peace, they want correction, and they have already started. Somewhere in a deep void between galaxies, a human fleet gathered. They had no flags, no names, no need for them. Each ship was made of black metal that bent light. Each captain was once a person, now something more. They didn't talk, they received orders through thought, one unified will. The leader of the fleet stood alone in the command chamber. A woman with eyes that saw time like data. She was once Admiral Rin of the Earth Defense Corps. Now she was simply known as Echo 1. She watched the map of the galaxy, lighting up with red markers. Each one was a species that had betrayed Earth. Her voice was calm as she spoke to her fleet. Stage 1 complete. Signals received. Fear established. Now we begin Stage 2. Judgment. Back in the Varnock Palace, General Karvok stood before a holographic broadcast. It wasn't public, wasn't meant for anyone but him. The human woman from the old station appeared again. She looked older now, or maybe, deeper, her presence heavy like gravity. She stared at him. You could have stopped it, she said. You chose silence. Karvok fell to one knee. I made a mistake, he whispered. No, she replied. You made a choice, and with that, the broadcast ended. Karvok looked up to the stars where dozens of small ships appeared in formation. No sirens, no warning, just a soft hum as they hovered. And then, one by one, they turned away. They didn't attack. They left. Because Earth wasn't looking for battles. They were choosing their real targets, and Karvok understood what that meant. Some would be spared not because they begged, but because Earth had bigger prey in mind. The planet Torella was quiet. Peaceful, too peaceful. It was known across the galaxy for its ancient knowledge, vaults, underground archives filled with records from thousands of civilizations. Scholars lived there working under thick stone towers. No military presence, no weapons, just books, data, and silence. And that's what made it the perfect place to hide secrets, until someone opened the wrong door. Archivist Loreen was a quiet man. He didn't speak much, didn't leave the lower vaults often. For 50 years, he catalogued forgotten records, wars that ended before stars were born, species that vanished, and ideas too dangerous to say aloud. One morning, a small black envelope appeared on his desk. No name, no seal, just a single line, open level 19. Password, Sol 0. Level 19. Had been sealed for centuries. Even he didn't know what was down there. Curiosity won. The elevator shook as it descended into the dark. Lauren's hands trembled. The walls felt colder. The deeper he went, at level 19, the doors opened, and he stepped into dust and silence. Rows of old terminals lined the room, their screens dead. A single console at the center glowed dim blue. He entered the password, Sol-0. The console blinked. Then it unlocked everything. Across the room, screens came to life. Dozens of videos played at once. Humans in black armor, ships no one had ever seen, conversations between council members that had been deleted from history. Loreen's eyes widened. This is impossible. He watched a recording of the Great Collapse, the day Earth's colonies were attacked. But this version was different. It showed council ships attacking first, human hospitals destroyed, civilian transports hunted down, whole planets burned. Official records had blamed the humans, but these videos told the truth. The galaxy had lied, and Earth had been the victim. Suddenly, the room locked down, lights turned. Red dot, an AI voice whispered from the speakers. Unauthorized access, you were warned. Loren backed away, heart racing. No, wait, I'm a historian. I didn't know. The screen replied, you were chosen. You looked, now you will carry the truth. Before he could speak again, a small device ejected from the terminal, a cube of data glowing with strange blue lines. His name was printed on the side. Outside the vault, alarms triggered across the archive. AI systems failed. Security bots shut down, and above Torella sky, a black dot appeared. A human ship. It didn't fire. It didn't land. It simply hovered. Watching. Waiting. Loren was escorted to the surface. The archive leaders were panicking. What did you do? One shouted. He held up the cube. It's not a weapon. It's a record, a history. They wanted us to forget. The lead scholar stared at the cube. Destroy it. Loren shook his head. No. The galaxy needs to know what we did. Behind them, the ship in the sky sent out a signal. It was not a warning, not a threat. It was a broadcast. All across the galaxy. That signal played the same video. A young human child, crying inside a burning station. Alien soldiers walking past without helping. Counselors laughing in private meetings as Earth begged for aid. Ships leaving the last Terran colony while screams echoed in the background. Then came the voice. You erased our children. You burned our homes. Now we erase your lies. Across 10 planets, riots began. Young citizens who had grown up hearing Earth was a danger watched the video and asked questions their leaders couldn't answer. Why did we do that? Why didn't anyone stop it? Why did we lie? Governments tried to shut the signal down. They failed. The truth was loose, and Earth had made sure everyone would see it. On the far side of the galaxy, Counselor Mizik stood in his chamber, watching the news feeds spiral out of control. Protests, violence, panic. Earth wasn't attacking with weapons. They were using something more dangerous. Memory, proof. He turned to his assistant. Find who opened the archive on Torella, the assistant stammered. Sir. It was a local historian. No military, no spy, just ... A man doing his job. Mezek clenched his jaw. Then Earth planned this. But how? He was just a no. Mizik interrupted. He was chosen. The moment he looked, Earth knew. They planted the file. They waited until someone curious would touch it. He walked to the window. They've learned patience. And now they're using our own guilt against us. In a quiet orbit near Torella, the human ship finally moved. It released a single drone. It flew toward the archive. The drone carried no bomb, no weapon. Just a plaque. It embedded itself into the stone wall outside the main library. The message on it read, Truth sleeps, but never dies. We remember now. So do you. Then the ship vanished. Back in the archive, Loren sat in silence. The cube in his hands hummed softly. Inside it was every secret, every lie, and now, every proof. He looked to the stars, whispering, You were never the monsters they said you were. Meanwhile, deep in the blackness of space, Earth's command AI monitored the galaxy. They watched panic spread. They watched fear grow. They watched old enemies fall silent. Echo. One stood before the fleet once again. Phase 2 is complete, she said. A voice responded from behind Hermel.com. Powerful, we've reminded them what they did. It was Command Overseer Rian, once a captain. Now something more. Echo 1 nodded. They fear the truth. No, Rian said. They fear what comes after the truth. He tapped the screen. It showed a list of the original betrayer species. We've shown them the past. Then he highlighted the next targets. Now we show them the consequences. The galaxy was no longer calm. Panic had replaced silence. Truth had replaced lies. And now, fire was replacing memory. The first homeworld to fall was Nas, capital of the once proud Drekari Alliance. Their cities were massive. Their towers reached clouds. For centuries they ruled trade and technology. They were one of the first to vote against Earth during the Council betrayal. They sent war fleets when Earth was weak. They sent spies to disable Earth's colonies. Now Earth had returned. And Earth remembered. It began at midnight. A black arc appeared above Nareski's sky. Not a ship, not a weapon, a structure. Silent, cold. Like a piece of night had broken free and settled. Above them it spread lightless tendrils down into the clouds. Power grids failed in seconds. Air systems in giant arc cities stopped. Emergency. Crafts launched. None reached orbit. The Dark Ark had learned every system, every countermeasure. The Drekari screamed for help. None came, because the rest of the galaxy was watching, and no one wanted to be next. From the Capitol Tower, Supreme Chancellor Vron watched flames rise below. He turned to his defense minister. "Where are our ships gone?" she whispered. "They didn't even report damage. They just stopped responding." A screen flickered on, static at first dot, then a human face appeared, a man in black, with no visible rank or name. He didn't speak for 10 seconds. Then he said 5 words. "Do you remember Sector 12? Vron froze. His blood turned cold. That was where Earth had once begged for safe passage after their main colony fell. And Drekari ships had opened fire on refugees, Ron whispered. "We did what the Council ordered." The human's eyes didn't blink. He said, "We don't follow orders, we follow memory, and yours just expired." The screen went dark. Above the planet, the Ark released no weapons. Instead, it simply broadcasted a signal that rewrote every satellite's orbit, and one by one, the satellites fell. On cities, on forests, on Drekari history, not to destroy everything but to make sure they could never rebuild. In the Galactic Council chambers, chaos ruled. 7 homeworlds had gone dark in 5 days. No human ships claimed responsibility, but all attacks matched a signature black arcs, silent strikes, precise judgment. The Council's AI tried to track them, they failed. Humans weren't using Council networks. They weren't even using normal time windows. They moved through folds, wormholes, hidden paths, unknown to all. They were everywhere and nowhere. Like ghosts, like vengeance itself. Ambassador Tellys of the Tarkin League stood and shouted, "This is not war, this is cleansing." Ambassador Krell of the Heron Empire answered, "This is justice. We did this. You forget what we voted for. You agreed with us." Tellys shouted. "Yes," Krell replied, "and I fear my planet is next." He was right. The next night, the Heron homeworld saw its moons disappear, literally disappear, teleported into deep space, removed from orbit. Tides changed, atmospheres shifted, not a single human weapon fired. But the Heron's largest cities built along ocean edges were swallowed by rising waves. Millions vanished. One signal came through, mercy denied, now returned. On Earth, hidden deep under black mountains, the true command center buzzed with activity. Hundreds of silent operators, all born after the fall, worked inside neural chambers. They were raised with one purpose: restore the balance. Each homeworld strike wasn't random, it was chosen, calculated, measured. Each was a mirror of what the enemy once did to Earth. If they burned Terran libraries, theirs were now burned. If they killed children, now theirs were gone. Not all life was taken, only enough to make them feel it, understand it, fear it. Commander Lyra of Earth's 9th Fleet stood before the next mission board. She pointed at the largest remaining target, Vale Prime, the crown of betrayal. A whisper went through the room. Everyone knew Vale Prime. They were the race that designed the virus used to shut down Earth's defense. As during the final war, without them, Earth would have fought longer, maybe survived. Lyra narrowed her eyes. This one burns. On Vale Prime, preparations had already begun. They saw the black arcs coming, but they were ready, or so they thought. Their skies turned red as early warning systems activated. The Vale King ordered their fleet into high orbit, but no ships appeared. No enemies showed. Just silence. Then came the whisper. It came from their own walls, from their machines, from every speaker, every wire, every screen. A whisper in Terran code, looping endlessly. "You silenced our minds. Now we silence your soul." One by one, their ships turned around, pilots locked inside, weapons unresponsive, engines reversed. They crashed into their own cities. It wasn't hacking, it was justice encoded into memory. Back in the Council, a final vote was called. For the first time in history, every species agreed on one thing: contact Earth, beg for peace. They sent a signal. They waited. No replied. They sent more. Still nothing. Then Earth answered. A hologram appeared in every system. A woman in black armor. Echoed 1. She spoke only once. "You taught us silence. You taught us patience. You taught us how mercy dies. Now we teach you how it's reborn in fire." Back on Narski, the fires hadn't stopped. The cities were shadows now. Von stood in a ruined chamber, staring at the ash of history. He spoke into the silence. "Forgive us." But Earth had heard that phrase before, centuries ago when they begged, and no one listened. The black arcs moved again to the next homeworld, the next lie, the next lie, the next place that once whispered, "Let them die." Because now, Earth remembered, and memory was fire. The Galactic Council had ruled for over 9,000 years. They built peace through fear. They wrote history with lies. They made the stars obey through threats and gold. But that age was ending, and it began with silence. At the center of the galaxy, inside a hollow moon called Vetrox, the council held its final meeting. The chamber was wide and tall, carved from obsidian, lit by sun core crystals, and guarded by 100 AI sentinels. Every major race had a seat. Every species that once voted against Earth now sat together, nervous, sweating, afraid. They weren't used to fear. They weren't used to being hunted. Counselor Zereth of the Malari Empire slammed his fist on the stone table. This isn't a war, it's an execution. Ambassador Nolly of the Zan Republic shook her head. We voted. We all did. We agreed Earth was unstable because we were told lies. Another shouted. A younger delegate whispered, what if Earth never wanted war? What if we turned them into what they are now? No one answered because they all knew they did. They voted to exile Earth. They watched colonies burn. They closed trade, froze medical aid, blocked rescue fleets. And when the last human cry reached them, they hit delete. Now Earth had returned, and their voice echoed in silence. No screams, no declarations, just quiet destruction, one homeworld after another, erased, not conquered. Judged. The council called an emergency signal, a direct line to Earth's last known broadcast node, a simple message: we beg for peace. We regret what we did. Please stop. The reply came 9 hours later, a file. No voice, no face, just footage. The footage played across every council screen. A child human burned, holding a broken teddy bear, sat alone on a destroyed platform behind. Her stars flickered. She whispered one word, why? Then the footage cut. Another file played. Old footage. Council leaders clapping as Earth was sentenced to exile. Ships exploding behind them. Screams from human doctors trying to save wounded colonists. And the silence of the council chambers. The last file was short. You were silent then. Now it's your turn. Suddenly, the power failed. Vetrax's moon defenses shut down. The AI guards turned toward their own masters, not attacking, just watching. Then the sky above split open. A ship, black, angular, shaped like a spear, descended. But it wasn't a warship. It was a courier. It landed in the council courtyard. From it walked a single figure, tall, human, wearing old Terran military gear. His armor had no rank. His helmet had no flag. Only a symbol, a broken crown set on fire. He entered the chamber without resistance. The sentinels let him pass. No one spoke. He placed a small cube on the council table, then turned and left. The cube activated. A voice filled the chamber. It was mail.com/slow. But every word felt like a knife. You erased our name from records. You erased our past. You erased our children. Now, we erase your throne. Suddenly, the council sealed. The ancient symbol that represented 9,000 years of power turned to ash on every screen. A countdown appeared. 0:59, 0:58. Panic broke out. Ambassadors screamed, some ran, some begged, some simply fell to their knees. But the human ship never fired. The countdown hit 0 o'clock, and everything stopped. No explosion, no attack, just silence. That silence lasted for days. Across the galaxy, council communication lines went dead. Encrypted channels stopped working. Power cores in council stations failed. Trade routes collapsed. And the law that invisible control the council always held vanished. People looked to the stars, asking, who's in charge now? But no one answered. Meanwhile, across hundreds of human sleeper fleets, a signal played on private networks. A message from Earth's command overseer: we did not come to rule. We came to remind. You do not erase the species who taught fire to the void. You do not silence the ones who survived your lies. Earth returns not as a tyrant, but as a memory you can't forget. In hidden systems, young rebel groups rose. Not humans but aliens. Aliens who had always questioned the council, who saw now, in Earth's revenge, the chance to rise. On the planet of Sisvaran, citizens burned the council flags. On Thoria, statues of exiled human scientists were rebuilt. Across 5 systems, old human libraries banned for centuries were reopened. The galaxy was changing, and not through diplomacy, but through fear, guilt and memory. Inside the burned council chamber on Veterex, only one counselor remained, Elder Grass, oldest among them. He stood over the cube, now silent, and whispered, we created our own end. Behind him, a voice replied, no, you delayed it. He turned. A human figure, tall, armored, silent, stood at the door. Grass's voice trembled. Will you kill me? The figure shook his head. No. Then what do you want? The human stepped closer. To leave you alive, so you never forget. And then, he vanished. Earth didn't need to kill the council. They made the galaxy do it. For them, made the people reject the lies, made the stars doubt the ones who ruled for millennia, and without trust, power died, not in flames but in silence, in Earth's deep core command room. Echo 1 looked at the final report. Council, deactivated. Command Overseer Rian nodded. They silenced us. We silenced their future. But Echo 1 wasn't smiling. She looked at the map of the galaxy. Dozens of systems. Now leaderless. Billions of aliens confused and afraid. She whispered, "Now comes the real storm." Rian turned to her. "What do you mean?" She said, "When power falls, chaos fills the gap. And we didn't return to destroy the galaxy. We returned to reshape it. The council was dead, its chambers empty, its laws forgotten. And the galaxy, once balanced by fear, now floated in chaos. But Earth did not vanish after their judgment. They stayed, watched, prepared, because destruction was never the end. It was only step one." Across the stars, messages from Earth spread not in violence, but in invitation. Simple words. Plain signals. Sent to colonies, rebels, scholars, and even surviving diplomats. The old order is gone. We offer something different. Come, speak, choose. And the galaxy listened. Because even in fear, the universe needed structure, and humans were building one. On the abandoned station Red Halo, a summit was called. Not a council, not an empire, just a meeting. Earth's message was clear. No thrones, no votes, only consequences. Over 50 species sent representatives. Some came in fear, some in secret, some hoping to learn what Earth wanted next. But when they arrived, there were no guards. No gold halls. No parades. Just a single woman, dressed in gray armor, standing beside a projection of Earth's broken flag. Her name was Echo 1. "I am not a queen," she said. "I am not a president. I am not here to rule. I am here to listen, and to remind you why we don't need rulers again." Silence followed. Then the ambassador of the Javari, whose homeworld had been spared, asked, "Then what do you offer?" Echo 1 pressed a button. A new star map appeared, glowing lines, red circles, and green paths. Earth's proposal. No borders, no taxes, no central law. Just the Accorder set of 7 rules burned into satellites across known space. Each rule, enforced not by government, but by memory-encoded AI. Each one tied to one core belief. You are free to choose, but you are not free to forget. The 7 rules were simple. No genocide, no slavery, no planetary weapons without public record, no truth-blocking systems, no forced cultural erasure, no biological targeting, no interference with protected worlds. If you broke these rules, you wouldn't face war, you'd face erasure. Some called it tyranny, some called it justice, some called it tyranfairness but honest. But everyone remembered what Earth had become, a species that rose from exile, that came back with perfect memory and no mercy. So most agreed, not from love but from survival. The reshaping began quietly on the edge worlds. Rogue fleets vanished. Slave markets on the Drick moons turned to ash. The AI judges, small ships, launched from black arcs, appeared when rules were broken. They spoke once. They gave warnings. Then, they acted not by killing everyone, but by making sure the guilty could never repeat history. And yet, Earth didn't act like rulers. They rebuilt shattered colonies without demanding tribute. They sent medships to infected zones. They restored old pre-council knowledge, returning forbidden books and blueprints, and still they never asked for thanks. Only truth, only acknowledgement. On the planet Solan, a human commander named Kale was asked by a young alien child, "Why did your people come back if you didn't want to rule?" Kale kneeled, he looked at the stars, and said, "Because the ones who ruled forgot what pain felt like. We returned to remind them. We stayed so others wouldn't forget again." But not everyone accepted the accord. In the dark sectors beyond the old galactic border, whispers began. Old powers stirred, hidden empires, silent fleets, species that had watched Earth's return and waited not with fear, but with hatred. One message reached Earth through encrypted space. "You judged the weak, but you haven't seen the real monsters. Come further, we'll show you what true silence is." In Earth's high command, the Overseer read the threat. He said nothing. He just turned to Echo 1. She studied the dark zone on the map, then whispered, "Let them call for silence. We'll answer with memory." Back on Red Halo, the summit ended. The delegates returned to their systems. Some afraid, some inspired, but all changed, because the galaxy had a new center. Not a capital, not a throne, but a scar. The scar of Earth, a reminder that even the quietest species once broken, could return as gods, and they didn't come back for revenge alone. They came back to build something no one expected, balance. But this time on Earth's terms. Before Earth fell silent, before the Council declared exile, before the stars turned their backs, there were witnesses, hidden ones, not part of the Council, not part of the war, but they saw it all, and they remembered. For a long time, these ancient observers lived in the black zones, uncharted systems wrapped in radiation, gravity storms, and silence. The Council called them dead sectors, but Earth knew better. Because when their final signals vanished centuries ago, something watched them disappear. On the 9th day of the Accord's reshaping, the Terran Deep Array on Station Blackpoint picked up a signal. It was not a distress call, not a warning, it was a memory, a scream, a replay of Earth's last colony, as it burned perfectly preserved, sent back as a message. The signal ended with one line: "We heard your scream, we never forgot." Echo 1 stood over the decoded message. She didn't blink, didn't speak, but her team felt the chill in the room. Overseer Rian leaned forward. Could it be survivors? She shook her head. No, not survivors. Watchers. Records had mentioned them once long ago. An old myth buried in Earth's refugee libraries, a species known only by the name humans gave them, the Obsidian Choir. A race so old they never built cities. They built memories alive, encoded in matter, hidden in dark space. And now, the choir had begun to sing. Across 3 Terran patrol routes, Earth's black drones began vanishing, not destroyed, removed, no trace, no signal, just gone. Ships sent to investigate returned with corrupted logs, visions of humans screaming, footage of Earth's exiled fleets twisting in time, and voices whispering, "We remember more than you." On the planet Thessa, a human peace envoy arrived to aid rebuilding efforts. At midnight, the skies turned red, a voice Isalian deep, and layered echoed across the entire planet. "You are not the only ones who suffered. You are not the only ones who returned. Your scream woke us. Your revenge has opened the gate." No one knew what the gate meant. But Earth Command began relocating key AI cores because they'd seen this pattern before, and it always meant something worse was coming in orbit above Valeris 9. A derelict Council research station suddenly powered on after 300 years. Inside, human recovery teams found something chilling, not weapons, not experiments, but recordings. Tens of thousands of memories stolen from Earth refugees, extracted during exile. Each one catalogued, each one tagged, with a strange symbol, a circle within a spiral, the mark of the Obsidian Choir. Echo 1 called a private meeting with Earth's top memory keepers. She spoke one line. They didn't just remember our fall, they fed on it. That changed everything. The Accord was no longer just about rules. Now it was about survival. Because somewhere in the old shadows of the galaxy, a species was gathering pain, harvesting it, storing it, not to destroy Earth but to understand how. Earth changed. On a quiet ice moon in System D29, a scout named Varna found it, a gate, not mechanical, not digital. Made of solid dark light, something that shouldn't exist. Inside, time didn't move forward, it looped, and inside that loop, Earth's last scream played endlessly. She tried to report back, but her ship never responded. Only her final logs survived. I saw them, not bodies, not ships, just voices with shape, and they're not angry, they're curious. Terran High Command declared black-level silence on all choir-related discoveries. Only 3 people were allowed to study the signals, and they all agreed. Earth's scream had not just returned across the stars, it had become a beacon, and something ancient was coming toward. But embracing the choir, they saw Earth's pain not as a warning, but as a power source. They began feeding the choir off memories of war, destruction, fear, and in return, they were spared. Ships painted with spiral circles moved freely in restricted space. Earth AI judges refused to attack them. Why? Because even the machines were glitching, memory locked by choir interference. At Earth's deepest AI core Prometheus, Node 0, a new message began repeating without command. A child's voice. Human. Female. Soft. Familiar. It whispered. I remember the fire. I remember the sky falling. I remember who watched and didn't help. They never left. They just waited for us to burn. Echo 1 froze when she heard it. It was a recording from a lost Terran child, one who died during the exile. Her file had been corrupted until now, but somehow, the choir had replayed it perfectly now. The truth was clear. Earth had not been alone in exile. They were studied, not just by enemies, but by those who collect pain like treasure, the Obsidian Choir. And now, they were coming not to fight but to see. to understand the only species that survived total silence in the last scene of the part. Echo 1 stood before the largest fleet Earth had ever built, the vanguard of memory. Her voice went out across Terran space. We hunted monsters, we judged the council, but something watched us do it all, something old. Now it's their turn to speak, and we don't know if they come as friends, or to finish what the galaxy started. They came without ships. No weapons, no demands, no anger. The Obsidian Choir arrived in silence, black shapes in orbit, floating, observing, humming with memories not their own. They didn't threaten. They watched every scream from Earth. History echoed in their presence, not as mockery but as tribute. Earth's fleets were ready, thousands of vessels, survivors of exile, judges of the Accord, mechs driven by memory, all stood in orbit above Lyra Prime, the meeting point. But no shots were fired, not yet, because before war could begin, there had to be a question. Echo 1 stepped forward, broadcasting on all frequencies. You heard us scream, you watched us burn. Now you show yourselves. Why? The choir responded in layers, voices speaking in perfect sync. Because you are the first to scream, and not disappear. You carried your pain, and turned it into structure. We collect what the galaxy throws away, but you forged it into fire. We have come to witness your second scream. Earth didn't understand. Not at first. Second scream. What second scream? And then across a dozen Accord systems choir gates opened, time loops, memory prisons, recordings of wars that never happened, worlds that never existed, except in possibility. The choir didn't collect history, they collected alternate outcomes. They showed what Earth could have become had it chosen revenge over balance. One projection showed Earth turning into a galactic tyrant. Another into a graveyard, one where Earth struck back early, burning every council world in all versions. Something was missing. Mercy. Echo 1 stared at them. You want to see us scream again, she said, coldly. To prove what? That we're like the others. The choir's answer was quiet. We want to know if your light was born from pain, or if it's just pain, wearing a mask. The overseer spoke next. We chose mercy. We built the Accord. We gave the galaxy a second chance. Then show us, the choir said, not in words, in memory. That was the demand. Not war. Not control, but access. To Earth's most sacred vault. The vault of first pain. A sealed library of real memories from before exile, during exile, and after. Every burning city, every starving child, every failed rescue. Memories that even Terrans couldn't bear to watch twice. High command was split. Some said no, some said yes, some said destroy the choir before they reached the vault. But Echo 1 made the call. She opened it, fully, and sent every memory Earth ever buried, across the stars. Unfiltered, unedited, unforgiven. And then the choir screamed, not in pain, in awe, because no other species had kept every scar, no other culture had memorized their own failures as law. And in that moment, the choir did something they had never done before. They sang back a chorus of alien voices, screams, tears, rage, but not Earth's. These were memories of others, dead empires, forgotten races, mistakes wiped from time. The choir had kept them all, but none had done what Earth had, carried the weight forward. The stars glowed as the choir began to shift, their forms melted, light bending, swirling, shrinking. And then they disappeared. No battle, no judgment, no gate left open, just a final message. Across all Accord systems, we do not fear you, we honor you. You have burned, and yet you built. We were keepers of memory, but you became it. Silence returned, but this time, it wasn't heavy, it was peace, not the fake kind, the earned kind. In the years that followed, Earth never saw the choir again, but choir symbols appeared on old ruins etched beside Terran flags. Across the galaxy, more species joined the Accord, not out of fear, but out of respect. Because now they knew, Earth had screamed, and stood not to conquer, but to hold the line. So no one else would be forgotten. Echo 1 retired 5 years later. She left a message in the memory archives before leaving public life. It said, they feared our pain, but they forgot pain isn't what broke us. It's what made us remember. And the ones who remember never truly fall. In the end, Earth wasn't a monster, or a god, or a judge. Earth became something more terrifying, a mirror, one the galaxy could never look away from again.